Hi, everybody. It's Andrea Hill. It's Just As Thursday. I come to you live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am the founder and host of The Dinner Party, which is a new and fantastic way to date and meet people. You can find out more information at jointhedinnerparty.com. But Thursday nights, I come to you as part of my company's mandate, which is to help you date better and give you actionable advice to help you navigate your way through the wild world of dating. You can send your questions in to me early for every Thursday at info@jointhedinnerparty.com, or you can tweet at me live during the event at Join the DP. Great places to find me are either on the website at jointhedinnerparty.com, our Facebook page, which is Join the Dinner Party, or the Dinner Party Vancouver, excuse me, facebook.com/the Dinner Party Vancouver. And on Instagram is just me, my full name, bestowing helpful advice and other fun little tidbits from my own dating life at Andrea Stephanie Hill on Instagram. So that's sort of little housekeeping for you. This week I had Roger write in with the question inquiring about, do we have hidden patterns that we have learned from our family and backgrounds? This was, I guess, a topic that came up during a discussion on Oprah Winfrey that sort of instigated this idea and question that Roger had in his post towards me. It's very timely because this week in my article in Dating Intelligence, which will be released tomorrow morning, I talk about ghosts of relationship past. So not only do our families, but so do our past relationships shape and affect us in our adulthood and each relationship that we have. So our first relationship are going to be the relationships that we have with both our mother and our father, and with our siblings growing up. As part of the dinner party, I actually conduct a discovery session, and that is done with any member or guest of the dinner party. And it's something that you're required to go through before you're invited to the table. And a discovery session allows me to get to know you better, but also go through your family history and your relationship history. So this taps into exactly what Roger is asking about. And not only does the discovery session allow me more insight into who you are, what your experience has been, and what you're looking for in a partner, but also the whole exercise unto itself is really valuable to the guest. A lot of the time, these aren't questions that we ask ourselves. We sort of catapult our way through life and move so quickly that a lot of the time we're not pausing and taking reflection on where we've come from and who are the people that have come in and out of our lives along the way. And don't kid yourself, every single one of those individuals shapes and is responsible for part of who you are today. And that experience and experiences can affect your relationship you're either in now, your dating experience that you're having now, who you're attracting into your life, why past relationships haven't worked before. So with the discovery session, I go into your relationship with your mom and your dad. I get you to flesh out what it is that you feel, what kind of person that they are. So stepping outside of just looking at them from a parental role, but as a human being, what kind of person was your mother? What kind of person was your father? What sort of values or behaviors or beliefs did they instill in you? Have those been beneficial to you? Have they hindered you in any way? Are you aware of what they are? And many people aren't. So this is a great exercise for you to even put yourself through. Who was my mom? And what kind of woman was she? And how has she influenced me in my life today and who I am? Are there little things about me that are reflective of my mother? Or have I made choices to ensure that I have learned from her own experiences, whether she shared them or just from being an objective viewer, that you don't want to repeat yourself? Have those influenced you in your life? And go through the same exercise with your dad. And think about what your relationship is like with your siblings. And has that changed as you've grown? And what things have you learned through those relationships? So that's a great place to start, because they certainly do affect us. And it's upon reflection that creates awareness, where our greatest gifts lie in our ability to grow and have healthy relationships, not only with ourselves, but also with the people that you bring into your life. Most importantly, romantically, the people that you decide to share your heart with, your heart space with. So you can start there, Roger, and do a little family history, and also the relationships that your mother and father had with each other. That can be a big influencer in our male-female relationships as adults. And then what I encourage you to do is go into your relationship history. And this is something I also do during the discovery session. And your relationship history, I would encourage you to reflect upon the people that made the largest impact on you. And you shouldn't have to think too hard about who these people are. It can be starting in high school, or who knows, even sooner, you could have had a childhood crush, and what your experience in interacting with that person. Were you snubbed? Were you also appreciated for who you were and the things that you valued in them? How did that affect you? What was attractive about them? If you did enter into a relationship, even in your younger years, especially in high school when we're really impressionable and raging with hormones, what was that experience like? Your first love? These people's names will pop into your head quite easily. And the key things to zero in on are what initially attracted you to them, how did the relationship develop, what felt good about that experience, what felt off, or were there any little red flags, or did your intuition at that time tell you something, and then upon the end of that relationship, if you were at all reflective, did you see the cues that maybe you missed? A lot of us do, especially when we're young and inexperienced and have, a lack of maturity. We tend to dampen and push down that intuitive voice inside, which really, when you can foster the relationship with that, it won't steer you wrong. And then moving into your 20s, were you married? Were there people that maybe even came into your life for a short period of time? A 3-week relationship, a love at first sight. How did that person make you feel? Again, what was appealing about them? How did that flow? How did them stepping out of your life make you feel? And reflect on each one of those. Then you're going to run into the situations where you're having to reflect upon the relationships, potentially where you were really badly hurt. And I hate to say this, guys, but men, especially young men, are raised not to really embrace their emotional side, whether it's crying or saying how they feel. That is not encouraged. That's starting to change now in certain cultures and societies, but it's really not something that's been celebrated or nurtured in men today. So you in particular, when you've had your heart broken and gone through a relationship that's really upset you, tend to just sort of numb it out and push past it and then muster on. And all of us at some point in time are guilty of that, but men in particular, it's something you really need to be aware of, because if you don't face and look at those painful things that maybe came up, then they can seriously hobble you for a lifetime in your romantic relationships. And it's your work that you need to do in order to get through and past that and unearth the gifts. Even in your greatest pain, there's always gifts. So looking back on those relationships, It can run anything from cheating to just mistrust or someone not reciprocating your feelings for them. That can cause a lot of internal harm that you sort of dust off and think, oh, I'm fine. And then you merrily bull and china shop your way into your next relationship, just to discover with maturity and time that when you look at your relationship history and you've had a series of failed relationships, a lot of the time when you dig fairly deep and have the bravery to look and reflect upon what's happened, it's the same thing in every relationship. It might not glaringly be there, but if you can get past your ego and take a really clear look at each of those relationships, you'll see that there is a common thread. So if you do a little homework this week and do a little relationship history timeline, reflecting upon who the person was, again, as I said, tapping into what initially attracted you to them, how did the relationship develop, and inevitably why it ended, how you felt, and try to unearth through each of those what it is that you learned from that experience, because ideally people come into our lives to teach us a lesson, and then step back once you've gone through your timeline and see what the common thread is. Because if you're still single and you're frustrated in your dating life, or you find that you're attracting the wrong person, or you're saying things like, you know, why does this continue to happen to me? I hate to tell you, it's not people happening to you, it's you having unresolved things from your relationship past and potentially even your family past that are influencing you, and because of where you are attracting the wrong people and creating the same unhealthy dynamic in each relationship that you enter into. So although it takes a little bit of hard work, really facing yourself, and maybe some scary emotional stuff that you are well practiced at burying, so it's going to take some concerted effort, time and space to reflect upon those things, I guarantee you will be hugely rewarded in finding out what that thing is that might have been impeding you all this time. And I bring up the ego in my previous statement because if you find that internal voice saying to you, well, it wasn't me, I wasn't responsible for that. That person just was really mean, narcissist, unhealthy, they had unresolved issues, it didn't have anything to do with me. That is your ego talking. And it's going to fight for every inch of its life to avoid you taking any responsibility and looking at something that might be potentially freeing from its grips. And the ego you need to have. Ego is typically fear. When ego's talking, it's your fear talking. And fear can be a good driver in helping you do the work in order to get past it. So ego can hang around, but it needs to take just a little bit of a back seat. Don't let them be sitting in your lap, and I call them or it because it's almost like its own entity. I know you know what I'm talking about when I say about that voice in your head, that person that contests anything or gives you the okay to kind of bypass something that might be a bit difficult or challenging for you, or avoid any ownership in anything in your life. That is your ego talking. So give it a back seat, listen to what it has to say, and then tell it to be quiet while you dig in and do the hard work in order to get you out on the other side and say goodbye to fear and hello to a healthy, rewarding relationship. Now, when doing this and reflecting upon the people that you have had in your life, I really encourage you to operate from a place of compassion. Just remember that everyone else out there is influenced by their family history and the people they've had in their life. And it takes a lot of bravery to reflect upon those things and take your ownership of them. So even in a circumstance of being in an unhealthy relationship and maybe allowing someone to treat you poorly, whether that be anything from cheating to subtle emotional abuse, or you've decided that your ex is a narcissist, you still have an involvement in that relationship, and they didn't get there by themselves either. So have a level of compassion for them. And when you operate from a level of compassion, it's really easy to forgive. And forgiveness does not mean that you are saying it's okay what those people did to you or what you experienced with them, but it does free you from the hindrance of feeling like a victim. And any relationship you enter into was a choice. So just keep that in mind when you're going through your relationship history and doing that homework and doing some reflection. And I'll say it again, when you take the time and give it the space to do some reflection on your past romantic relationships, it creates a level of awareness that gives you the ability to grow into a relationship that will be successful in your future. So I've had lots of really cool things come up from the discovery sessions. I do this exercise myself. It keeps me highly aware into the relationships I'm entering in. And don't get me wrong, you will be triggered every once in a while. I mean, nothing completely goes away. We're in a constant state of evolution. And I know myself, being back in the dating game, that certain things can come up that can trigger me. But because I've done the work, if I get over myself and give myself a bit of distance, I can see that what has triggered me or potentially upset me, that someone else's behavior has triggered in me, that it's actually not them, it's my stuff. And when that happens and you start to develop a relationship with someone, I really recommend you sharing it with them so that they're aware of it as well. And boy, is it attractive when people own their shit. So I encourage you to have full transparency, own your stuff when it comes up, recognize that maybe an experience in your past is triggering things in your current or future relationships, practice awareness, do your homework, and you'll be rewarded with not only attracting the right person into your life, but then having a really strong foundation in yourself to start building a healthy, loving, successful relationship with that individual. So I'm going to leave you there with that thought. If you have any other questions on this topic or want to delve into it deeper with me one-on-one, you can always reach me at info@jointhedinnerparty.com. I do one-on-one coaching as well as consulting work and giving you a strategic blueprint on what suits you best in your dating life to unearth and discover the relationship that you want. So don't hesitate in reaching out to me. Again, that's info@jointhedinnerparty.com. You can find me every Thursday here live doing a dating Q&A at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can get your questions in early, again, to the same email, info@jointhedinnerparty.com, or you can tweet at me live during the event at Join the DP. So go out there, date, have fun, be compassionate, and remember, it is only the vulnerable and brave that find love. And when in doubt, just ask. We'll see you next Thursday.